Hello, we are back with another cubicle tour. This is another ones I haven't read yet, so let's get to it. Some interesting things here, and it won't take too long. And so the first one here, I'm not sure where I got this. I do remember. I bought this on Etsy, I think. For some reason, I wanted this particular volume of the comedy, the human comedy, comédie humaine, la comédie humaine. I cannot read it in French. My French is not good enough. I wish it were. But I forget exactly why I wanted this one. Maybe it's something to do with the order in which you're supposed to read them, the Chouan. And so I think this is two novels in one. I'm really not that familiar with it, not like I am with Zola, but I have read a couple of them, including some of the very early ones, which is strange because they're kind of different. They're historical, take place at the time of Dante. Next up, we have Paul Thomas Bernhard, the Austrian writer who, sort of disgruntled fellow, psychologically kind of sensitive and beautiful writing style, very interesting, depressing, sort of, because it's sort of, I don't know how to describe what makes it depressing. It's relentlessly unjolly and kind of, I don't know, pessimistic, I would say. This is called Die Kälte, so the coldness, and I think this is part of it's a fourth part of his memoir, kind of, his memoirs of growing up, and this time he's in a lung hospital, healing place, yes, as a teenager. Yes, and so actually it kind of makes me think it would be interesting to read this alongside the one I'm actually reading now, which is Magic Mountain. Interesting connecting element there. That makes me sort of want to read it straight away. Maybe I'll start it. So yeah, that's good. I like Thomas Bernhard, but I do think he is a bit of there's not a lot of variation in the works that I've read. They're all kind of have the same sense of one person's struggles against living in the world and the awfulness of Austria and the sort of complicit and the way that the complicit past with Nazi past and sort of not addressing it, and I don't know, and there's a lot of sort of, I can sort of agree with that I have my issues with German society. I don't know exactly why, but it makes me depressed. Partly just because of the way I am. I just like everything to be jollier and happier, and I just can't take the dour aspects of it, of German culture, of German society. But that's just an observation that probably is pretty superficial. Josephine Tay. Now this is a type of book that if you go to Half Price, they'll have like 10 of them, and that's probably where I got it too. And I haven't read it yet. I read one Josephine Tay. I listened to one at some point. It was about a murder in a theater, and I remember because I liked this other mystery by, I think his name is Michael Gilbert maybe. And it was sent to me by someone who watches my YouTube channel. I read this, and I did actually also listen to it, but I also read it kind of a bit of both. Michael Gilbert, and I was shocked at how good it was. The writing was very sort of impressive for a mystery, a little sort of almost cozy mystery, one could say, even though I kind of don't like that term. But the introduction to the world of a law office in the 50s in England sort of was quite well done, I thought, or really well done. And so then a little bit later I listened to this Josephine Tay and was less impressed, I have to say. So I really should make a point of looking up more Michael Gilbert mysteries. I'd never heard of him at all, so I thought it was good. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so this is part of my ongoing, at least intentions to do some work with Benjamin, mainly just reading Walter Benjamin, who I did work on a little bit in grad school. And for example, read the Arcades project, the Passagenwerk, which must be somewhere. I don't know where it is. Oh, maybe it's on my nonfiction shelf. Passagenwerk. Yes, it's in the. I have a volume of Walter Benjamin's works, and I started reading an article that I had to throw out because of what happened to it with cats. But that article mentioned this early sort of a surrealist, I guess, surreal about Paris, and it's sort of I think it's before Benjamin, and Benjamin praises it a lot, and it's really just kind of describing Paris and sort of buildings in Paris, and it's called Paris Peasant. So I don't really know that much about it by Aragon. I don't know much about him either, but he is a founding member of Surrealism. So a little bit before Walter Benjamin. So this was intriguing. So the idea that I need this book came upon me some years ago, and I got it, and I haven't read it yet, but I will. I'm also kind of interested in the idea of Paris, to be honest, even more than going there, although I love Paris. I mean, I would go there. But because of Zola and his focus on, I'm doing it again, and it's hard to put it. But the fact that in so many of his works, Paris is a character, and specifically the houseman, the redesigning of Paris with these big buildings that guy did, and the sort of the modernity that was ushered in with architecture. So yeah, I have a slight interest in, I guess, urban planning or architecture, buildings in general. Yeah. But one thing that occurred to me is that just in general, I spent 7 weeks in and around the city. It's a city. It's not a huge city of Wiesbaden, Germany, and I realized how I really prefer where we live, which is a small college town in Ohio, which is much less built up, and there are fewer people, and we have a nice backyard, and it just seems like a more pleasant. I'm not used to the concrete jungle aspects of any big city, even though Wiesbaden is a really nice city. It's not terrible, but I am much more used now to small town living. Here's an Edith Wharton I haven't read. I get them confused because I have read some, but this one I don't think I read about Newland Archer. No, I read something else. I read a different one. And I like Wharton. I don't love her as much. I had the Henry James phase where I really loved him. But I like her, but I don't like her as much as other people, perhaps. But anyway, here's this other person, him, that I used to read more of, but have moved away from. She's sort of too provincial, British writer. The other book I decided I had read already, but this one I definitely have not read, and it's a beautiful, Orla Keeley designed cover. So it's like a pretty book. Interesting. I don't know. I have these phases where I decide I need a pretty book. So I got that. I also had a phase that I wanted to kind of read more of Iris Murdoch, so I went and got 2 of her early novels, and the other one I read, and that was called something. I'm looking for it in my I have read pile, or cubicles, but I'm not seeing it straight away. Girl, it's called The Italian Girl or something about Italian. I remember that. That's right, Italian something. I'm not seeing it, and it was not a 5-star. It was good. It was quite well. Well, it was like almost 5, but it wasn't good enough to be 5. It was interesting and psychologically quite compelling, I guess. But something about it made it seem a bit minor, I guess. And so this is the next one. This is also an early Murdoch. So I kind of had this idea of working my way through her novels, which I still might do. I come and go with, what I'm going to read next. I mean, at some point I can give a TBR, because I do have some things I really want to get to quite soon. But they're all very long, and I'm slow, so it's going to be a while. It's like, I hope I live forever so I can read all the books type of situation, which of course is not true. Hello. So yes, so much for being quick. This is number 2 of the cubicle descriptions, and it's Balzac again, which is now this one I did get at half price, I think. Yes, at a certain point in time, and I just picked it up because I mainly like the weird illustrations, which are sort of, I don't know how to describe them. They're like woodcuts, but they're a little like racy almost, suggestive. For example, I don't know if I'm allowed to show this, but it's like, look, I don't know what is going on there. But I'm intrigued as to see and they're all kind of like that up to a certain degree. And I thought they were sort of artistically kind of interesting. Oh gosh, there's another one. I don't know what is going on here. And it did kind of, what is this? Are these like the racy stories of Balzac? Oh, maybe they are, I don't know. What is going on here? It's always some half-naked lady. What is going on? So it's almost like I just want to read it to get a sense of what is going on with these descriptions. The venial sin. I don't know. What is this? Yeah. In Korea. But yes, as I said, you can tell that I don't really know much about Balzac. There we go. They're kind of weird, but interesting. And, it was $6 for this edition, which I thought was kind of interesting. And, oh gosh. This is making me laugh. I don't know. Yes, anyway. Maybe we should move on. So that's it's called Droll Stories. I'm not sure if droll is the right adjective there, but maybe they're being funny. Yes, moving on to one of my most recent book purchases, and it's based on this Canadian booktuber, Lawrence. What's his last name? Lawrence something. He's a really good booktuber who does really good reviews, and he's much more polished than I am and ever will be. I just sort of speak in a very kind of chatty way. But he made this sound like one of the best novels ever written, and so he's from Lebanon, but it's kind of a Palestinian novel, and apparently it's sort of mythological, and I don't really know much about it, but he made me want to read it. So I got and it's a beautiful copy from Archipelago Books, and I had maybe heard of Elias Khoury, but that's about it. I like this painting on the front. I like that. So that's why that is there, and it's there because it's right here because of the height. Yes, I actually moved the books around to get the right height thing going. So that's that. Next up, we have a strange sort of older classic, more or less, by Frank Norris. Is it Frank Norris who wrote this? And I think it's because I'm interested in realism because of Zola, so I wanted to read some American examples of it. And recently, not too long ago, I had read Bruce Tarkington's Alice Adams, which I found too distasteful because of the racism. His kind of pejorative and not just sort of. Even Thomas Mann could be definitely accused of Orientalism, and don't we know? But with Tarkington, it was really distasteful. His kind of the really cliche description of African Americans and where they lived in this Midwest city. I didn't like it. It really took away from the good parts of the book. I think I've talked about it before. He's actually not a bad writer, and it's comparing him to poor Ellen Montgomery, who's very sweet, but she can't really write, in my opinion. Although Anne of Green Gables maybe was okay. I was reading something else by her. I have not read McTeague though, and I would like to. It's apparently about a dentist. So yeah, the dentist novel. I was at the dentist today. It went fairly well considering it. I should have gone sooner. I need to devote a sort of a season or perhaps even a year to studying the works of Lispector. I, as I mentioned before, was the TA for Ellen Sixou, and we did read a story by Helen and by Clarice Lispector, and she's of course a big fan. But then I just stopped, and I've had this copy. This might even be my husband's copy of The Passion, and if you know, you know, the cockroach story, but not like Kafka. But so I haven't, and I started it. I did start this, and I started some other works, but I've always just been too distracted through work. I haven't been able to sort of meditate over what she's getting at in the way you need to make her make sense to you, and you have to be sort of. It's sort of the spell of her has to get you. Here's what I mean now. This is one I actually have No, I haven't listened to book 4. I've never ever read book 4, and this is book 4 of The Struggle by Knausgard, and it's a beautiful edition, a kind of square book, very unusual. You don't really get square books hardly ever. So I picked that up. We have the best bookstore in our town is, and it may be the same for a number of towns, the library book sale. We don't have a bookstore. We have, every month they do a Friends of the Library book sale, and that's where you get good books. That's where you get used books in our town, or any books. I mean, besides the library itself, which I should get more into. And then last but not least, one of my other favorite authors, I'm saving Romola, because it's the only novel I haven't read by George Eliot. I have read and loved them all. I think I love Middlemarch the most. I did like Daniel Deronda. What else is there? I need to reread the other ones. But anyway, Romola is definitely one I want to read very soon. So yeah, that's enough chat about that cubicle. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.